Welcome to Those Guys Sports. It's your boy Mike, and this is my weekly podcast about the NBA. I will start doing a weekly sports podcast, probably just take this away right after probably the draft and that trade season, that really love free agency season. I'll probably just do an overall sports podcast because I just love sports and there's a lot of things that are going on, especially in baseball. So a little bit of hockey news here and there, some football news all the time, like a Dalvin Cook just got released, and then we got Diggs and Allen having issues. There's a lot of sports going out there. Of course, I'm focusing on the NBA. And in my conversation, I'm going to talk about the two guys behind me. It's John Morant and Bradley Beal. Plus, I got to talk about some draft. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'm seeing that the viewer count is growing. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe so there's more content. I want to do this daily. I want to talk to you guys daily. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it moving. I changed the camera. So I brought in a new camera, but I didn't buy it. I'm gonna put a better camera. Don't worry, a better camera is gonna come. But let's talk about ball. Let's lay back, and the first thing we got to talk about is the John Morant suspension. He got suspended for 25 games. I was just watching a documentary about the Malice in the Palace, and how like Ron Artest got like a whole year suspension. You got Steven Jackson got like 25 games. You got Jermaine O'Neal got 25, but I think it got reduced. All these things happened, and at that time, the league was not it wasn't going very well. People called them thugs, they called them this, they were speaking out their names, whatever. The league changed their dress code, they changed the way they started marketing players. They really wanted to push a guy like a LeBron, when of course they had at that point, some people may argue, the face of the league was Allen Iverson. He was the face of the league. People loved Allen Iverson, but they had to get that image out of the league, and they slowly did. The braids, all that stuff just wasn't working for him, and they didn't like that. They thought it was a thug mentality. Now, the 2023 John Morant. People are thinking what he's doing is thug mentality, which I think a lot of us would agree. It has a little bit of thug mentality to it. Is John Morant a thug? He can be whatever he wants to be, whatever his choices in life, it's his choices. But the NBA does not want to bring this character into the league. And why John Morant is so important, like overall, why is John Morant so important to all this? Pretty simple. LeBron James is leaving the league. He's leaving. He's gone. He's going to be gone in about 2 years. Probably play a year with Bronny, or that last year, which is Bronny's first year. That's what he'll probably do. He probably wants to go against his son or do something with his son. That's going to be. He has 2 more years in him, and then he's done. LeBron's complete. He's going to play 22 seasons. Then he's done. They need a new face. And it's an American company, the NBA, you can say. Yes, they want to be global and they want to be worldwide like everything else, but their face of the face of the league can't be a European. They won't let it happen. Even if it was a Canadian player, they won't let it happen. The face of the league has to be an American. Because why is it not Jokic? Why is it not Giannis? Why are they not the face of the league? The face of the league is still LeBron because he still carries so much weight. And they need a new face, someone who's going to carry the torch. Zion Williamson, who I'll probably talk about when I start talking about the draft stuff. Well, a guy like Zion, he was given it. He was given the league. They're like, Zion, take over. We need you to be that combo of LeBron, Blake Griffin. We need that whole package with your personality, your smile, all that stuff. Zion, take the lead. Come on, Zion, come on, take the lead. But he didn't. He hasn't played, so he's not marketable because he doesn't play. He's what we would want as an NBA fan. He's the type of player that kids are gonna want to see. Zion was made to be the future of the league. The way they were talking about this, touting how great of a player he is, he was getting all that recognition. For what? He didn't play. So they needed someone else. And who was that person? John Morant. John Morant was that person that they said, here are the keys to the league. Take it. Who else was going to take it? Jason Tatum, quite frankly, is boring. He is. We all like Jason Tatum. He's an immaculate player. No one's ever questioning who he is as a player. Top 10 player in the league. But is he the face? He's not the face. John Morant has what? More style, more charisma. He plays with that more style, more charisma. He has a little bit more dog in him, a little bit more. He's easier to advertise for the NBA. They need that person with the style, the flair, especially when that the league focuses so much on players. If a league focuses on players, you're gonna need the players to perform, and you need them to have a little bit of swag. And John Morant had all that. He had all the swag. The gritty was a dance that everyone does. Who made it popular? John Morant did. John Morant started doing it. Then guess what? these little white kids started doing it too. Then their dad started doing, their mom started doing, thinking like, oh, look at this cute dance that my son is doing, my daughter's doing. It got popular, it became mainstay. Now everyone knows what that dance is. That dance is a dance that everyone does, and all because of John Morant starting it. Like, and of course it was from a song, whatever, but John Morant made it super popular. And John Morant became one of the most popular players because he was a highlight every single game. He would either, hit a tough shot. One of the best shots of this year was a shot that he made after a Steven Adams pass. So all those things were factors. All those things were factors to what made John Morant the next face of the league. But this stuff doesn't work out. This stuff is not helping. Going and flashing a gun, it isn't going to help the league by any means. It doesn't. It just perpetuates a stereotype that this league wants to avoid. The league doesn't want this type of, view. They don't want people to think that the league has guys who have guns consistently. There was a report that came, or a video that came, that he sent a video to his family saying the gun was a fake. He put it near some candles. The gun was a fake. But then the question is, Ja, why do you have a gun on you? Like, well, even if it's a fake gun. So you have a fake gun to point at people? What if that person has a real gun? Your fake gun's not gonna do nothing. You're gonna throw it at them? It makes no sense why he has this fake gun, probably for his protection, things like that. That's why you hire security, you put the right people around you, and honestly, don't put yourself in that situation. I say, Jason Tatum as a boring player because all you hear about Jason Tatum is that he has a son that he's constantly around. Mind you, John Morant looks like a great father. He's always has his daughter at every game, every interview. He's holding his daughter. His daughter's there. She's happy to be there. The team knows the daughter. The great relationship with the kids. It seems all that is fine, right? We all talk about Jason Tatum's mom, his dad, his uncle being, Larry Hughes, like. We talk about those things. With John Morant, it seems like we're just talking about negative stuff. After all the highlights, then all of a sudden we're talking about negative. He needs to be the role model. John Morant has to be the role model. Now, going to the 25 game suspension, that's a lot, It's, but it had to happen. I think you gotta show everyone that you mean business. I think some people would argue that Adam Silver is a little bit nice. He's a little bit nicer than a David Stern, who, to pardon the pun, was stern. He was stern. He wanted people to act right. He wanted people to perform and then do their due diligence as a superstar player. He wanted all that. You highlight, you market the superstar players. John Morant being a superstar player, you need to highlight them. But this is not it. What you're doing right now cannot be it. We can't have someone flashing guns on Instagram Live, playing songs. What they do on their spare time, what they do outside of basketball, honestly, is also their business. It really is. If they choose to go to certain environments, certain clubs, they have every right to. You got CEOs who do it. Why can't John Morant do it? Why does he have to be the only role model to kids? Why can't Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk? Why is it only John Morant has to be a person that kids look up to? That shouldn't be the case. But John Morant got the suspension. It was needed. I'm glad that Nike didn't drop him. I'm glad that people are going to potentially give him a chance. But I do know this is his last chance. Listening to the Bill Simmons podcast, the one thing he had mentioned Stephon Marbury. I thought that was a pretty good comparison. Stephon Marbury is a pretty good comparison because a guy who had all the talent, a lot of people believed in him and didn't do much else because attitude issues, probably felt like he was bigger than the team, better than the team. And that attitude can only go so far. There's so much players who come into the league, some for attitude, some for not, and then they're gone. An example I will always want to bring up is Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard should be on the top 75. When Dwight Howard was nice, all defensive player. I think it was ESPN who had him second or third in the NBA, like the best NBA player. He took the Magic, the Orlando Magic, to the finals. No one cared about the Orlando Magic, but Dwight Howard made them care. He was a highlight for the All-Star weekend. A guy who people just, he was a starter in the Redeem team. It's crazy that they barely talked about him in the documentary, but he was a starter. And that's the thing. His attitude, people's dislike of him, I think people thought he was more childlike. All that stuff made people dislike him. So right now he's not in the league. Can he help a team? You have DeAndre Jordan, who just won a title. I think Dwight Howard can help a team too, and I'm pretty sure he is. Dwight Howard is younger than DeAndre Jordan, so like Dwight can help. So it's very quick that a player can be at the top level, top 5 player in the league, and not even be voted for as 75 best players of all time. You can be a top 5 in the league and be out the league the next day, because if people don't mess with you, they'll stop messing with you. You're not in the league, you're done, and you're gone. So kind of sucks. But yeah, John Morant, 25-game suspension. We all knew it was coming. People made the memes, they made the jokes that after the Denver Nuggets won, Adam Silver was just waiting for the right time to release what he was going to do. He made his decision. All you're hoping for is that John Morant learns from that, becomes a better player, and you're just hoping the best for him and his family. At the end of the day, you're hoping the right people are there to talk to him, coach him, tell him some of the things that he's doing isn't right. You're just hoping that the right people are in the right places. But let's move on to something else. I don't want to dive too much. We talked so much about Ja within the past like few months, honestly. Some people being pretty sick and tired of this whole situation. You know, it's funny, man. This NBA offseason, I'm gonna make a video alone about this. But this NBA offseason is gonna be crazy. And the reason why it's gonna be crazy because there's so much guys who may leave teams. There is a Karl-Anthony Towns rumor. There was a Trae Young rumor. Chris Paul, we don't know what that situation is gonna be like. And then the one behind me, the main topic, Bradley Beal. Now all of a sudden everyone's Bradley Beal. But the thing with Bradley Beal, he's not a number one guy, and everyone realizes that. But everyone just saw Jamal Murray, and they're like, if I put him on this team, could he do what Jamal Murray just did? And I think he can. People talk about his injuries and he hasn't played like over 60 games, but you look at the reasons why, it wasn't like him. Only like last year he got hurt. The year before, I think he was a little hurt, but this year was more, he got hurt and like they weren't gonna win. So like they just sat him. They wanted to hire a draft pick. So I think Washington's gonna go into full rebuild as they should. It's good that Bradley Beal, took the contract. Um, you know, generational wealth, that's what matters. Took the contract, and now you know what he's gonna do next. He's gonna try to find a good team. The thing with his contract, if those who don't know, he has a no trade clause, which is like the only guy in the league that has a no trade clause. Not even LeBron has a no trade clause. Yeah, they'll talk to LeBron. He has probably like a, back end no trade clause, but Bradley Beal in contract on paper signed by everybody. He cannot get traded unless it's his consent. So he can pretty much dictate where he chooses to put him and his family. And there's multiple rumors, multiple places that have talked about where they want him to go. The latest rumor is Phoenix, and it's Miami. I think Miami is always going to be that main one, and there's Phoenix. Let's talk about Phoenix real quick. What? They said that, to trade Bradley Beal, you're not going to get much for him because his contract is horrendous. So a team is not going to be like, we're going to lose all of our future assets for Bradley Beal. And Bradley Beal's like a second, third star on the championship team, depending on the type of team they are. Now, with the Phoenix, at first I was like, who are you going to trade for? You don't have any draft picks. And at least can I have one? Well, I don't think they're going to do for draft picks. I think they're just doing it I think Washington's going to be the goodness of their hearts. They're going to trade him to the Phoenix Suns for, they're saying it could be an Ayton, Shamet, and probably something else, or maybe a Chris Paul, Shamet, and someone else. Yeah, no, whatever Washington does, and I know they've made horrible decisions throughout their organization, don't make that decision. That's a pretty stupid decision. You're going to trade him to Phoenix and get really nothing. You have to buy out Chris Paul because you're not trading Chris Paul again. And then you can get Ayton is someone who potentially you can get a draft pick or two, potentially. That's probably like maybe one high and maybe another like protected draft pick, maybe for Ayton. I don't know. First round pick. That's the only why I say all that. Other than that, like, why you do that trade? So Phoenix is a no. Like that's not even a thing. You push that to the side. Now I heard Milwaukee Bucks. Let's just bring them up. Milwaukee Bucks. I like Jrue Holiday, so I would want to trade him. Middleton's better than Beal, so I'm not trading that. So what? What do you guys trade? Right? All these like top end teams, I get why Beal would want to go, and I get why the team is interested. Of course, bring Beal could help your team. Bring in a Beal with a Giannis can help your team. But I just don't see what the package is completely. Like I don't see what the package would be. Of course, they can add some draft picks to make it much easier. Bring like a bunch of contracts. If you would trade him for like he's like 45 million, $50 million. You got to put a bunch of contracts with that to make it work. And you're gonna gut your team. Your bench is not gonna look that good. Phoenix didn't really have a bench. They really didn't. So if you trade for Beal, you're having no bench. And if you trade Ayton, who's your starting center? Bismack? Right? But I guess you have like three guys who can just get a basket. But sometimes I do agree that there's only one ball. So unless like Beal or Booker become a better defender, I don't really see that happening because Kevin Durant's Kevin Durant. That's the guy you still want, shooting the shot. And it's Devin Booker's team. I think Kevin Durant knows that. So Beal comes to be the third guy, and I honestly don't think a third guy on that team is gonna work. These guys aren't Steph Curry, they're not Dwayne Wade. They're not gonna sit back and realize, okay, we're not the best players. We're gonna let this guy cook. Wade did all the dirty work. You know, Steph Curry didn't do all the dirty work, but they had a bunch of guys who did a bunch of dirty work. So I really think like that's just not going to work out at all. But with the team that it's probably going to go to there. If you choose, can I go to Phoenix or Miami? Yes, they're both hot cities, but I'm going to go to Miami. Miami just made it to the finals, and they're a team that is in everyone's head, and they work freaking hard. Okay, so if you can trade for Miami, you could trade about 2 first rounders. If you're Washington, okay, 2 first rounders. I don't know where they're going to be, but I'm going to have high draft picks, and the other ones are going to be like maybe 20th to 30th picks. I can still deal with that. So I'll have a top 5 draft pick for the next 3 years, and I'll have another pick in the 20th. That's fine. There's been great players that have come after 15. Look at the stats. Not like every top 10 player makes it to the All-Star game. It just never happens, ever, ever, ever. And in saying that, okay, boom, you put him in Miami. 2 draft picks. Probably got to trade Kyle Lowry for the contract, and I think Miami would love to trade the Kyle Lowry contract, 30 mil. Plus, you trade Duncan Robinson, which I think is like 18 mil or something like that. So you trade those two first round picks, maybe trade another small player. I think they said they want I think Jovic or I forgot the other guy's name, but they want one of those 2 guys. And okay, cool, let's add them on. Like I'll trade Jovic. Yeah, you want to be young, but Miami, you're Miami. At the end of the day, you get these contracts, you can pair them up. Eventually, I think all 3 guys, a Bam, a Butler, and a Beal, oh my gosh, the 3 Bs, they can all work out very well. They can all work out pretty well because you can have what they needed and what they missed was a score. And Beal is better than a Tyler Hero. So I think if you brought a Beal in, I think that can work out pretty well. So I would want something like that if I'm the Washington Wizards. But I'm really trying to see who's going to trade me like a lot of picks. But ultimately, it's like Bradley Beal controls the whole thing. He controls it. If he wants to go here, he wants to go there. He controls the whole thing. Now to talk from the Raptors perspective, because I'm going to be I have to talk about the Raptors perspective. Would I want a Bradley Beal? Yes. I think he would always be a good. I always feel like the Raptors need that Chris Middleton type, get him over the top, a better version of a Gary Trent. I think that's Bradley Beal. What do you get for him? I don't know. The contracts don't match. Washington would probably be give us OG because I think Washington would then flip OG in a year time for picks and stuff. They'll just kind of flip the best way, kind of I think what OKC did. But that's what Washington should do. So I think I would like a Bradley Beal, but I don't know I don't want to trade OG, really. You don't sign and trade for Fred VanVleet because if you're watching, why would you put on so Fred can just be this Jeremy Grant type figure who comes to a bad team and starts scoring a bunch of points? It doesn't make sense. A team to look out for is the New York Knicks because if the Knicks really felt they were a player away, let's say, Washington say, hey, we can get RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett can be a number 2 once we can trade for this number 1. We have RJ Barrett, number 1 top 5 pick, whatever, in the next few years. Maybe we can build something. Because RJ's about to turn 23. He's still fairly young. So all this stuff can happen for Washington. So I think be careful for New York Knicks. I think that's a team that I can see making a splash. Like they can go for a Beal. Then you have a Brunson Beal, not the greatest defensive lineup. You have a Brunson Beal and Randall. Pair him with a Hart, a Robinson. Defensive minded team still could be there. It's still Thibodeau's there, and you have another scorer and a Beal. Especially when those games get tight, you have someone who you can give the ball to and see what they can do with it. So that's a team I would kind of look for. But if I had to pick, where he's gonna go, my thought process, the man's gonna go to Miami. I think it's a done deal. I think it's just they're waiting for July 1st. Just waiting for July 1st. Maybe on draft day. I'm not sure if they can do the trade on draft day, but I'm thinking probably if it's July 1st, they're waiting for July 1st. Um, yeah, July 1st is the draft day because I think they don't need no one needs to do a signing trade. Everyone's pretty much signed in Miami, so they could just do it. That's what my Bradley Beal thought. Before I go, I'm gonna make a video tomorrow about the draft, right? And it won't be long, probably a 5-10 minute video. Just wrote some stuff down, and it's just the expectations that Victor needs to chill. But overall, the draft is a crapshoot, So to do a little draft spiel now, like the draft, you don't know what you're gonna get. You never do. Number one overall pick, you still don't know. You think you may get, a LeBron, or you're looking for a LeBron type player, but you may not get it. You may not get a LeBron. You may not get a Tim Duncan. Um, you may not even get an Allen Iverson. You know, you may get an Aiton. You may get an Aiton or an Anthony Davis, and mind you, Anthony Davis here, Aiton's here, and I get that. What I'm saying more is that you may not get that number one guy, right? You may get a good quality person who can help win you a title, but you may not get that number one guy. It's a crapshoot. You don't know what you're gonna get, or you may get like a Blake Griffin or a John Wall who can show so much flashes, and but injury derails them. Hopefully it doesn't derail them. We want these people to be healthy, but you don't know what can happen, right? And that's the whole thing with the draft. Now the top 10 picks. Hey man, I've said it multiple times because I had to do research. 1, 2, and 3 haven't all made the All Stars. It's only since first time was 2016, and since before then it was like I think it was 1998, I believe. If not, it's way further down where our top 3 draft picks were all star. It never happens. So the chances are higher than not that your top 3 picks, one of them will be a bust. It's just the way it is. Now it can happen again. I feel like RJ Barrett may be an all-star, and I feel like that may happen for that. It goes Zion, John, RJ, may all 3 be all-stars. That can potentially happen. But overall, look at top 10 players. Like, look at a Rubio. Rubio's a top 10 player. Still a very good quality backup. But you picked Rubio and Johnny Flynn over a 2-time MVP, 1-time unanimous MVP, a 4-time NBA champion in Steph Curry. It happened. Darko got picked over Dwayne Wade. If you think about it, Darko, Melo, and Chris Bosh were all picked up before Dwayne Wade. All of them picked before Dwayne Wade. And Chris Bosh is an amazing player. I love Chris Bosh, Toronto Raptor. Like I think he's a great, one of the most talented, just pure talented players we had in the league. So this happens. People talk about Aiton, Bagley. I think it was in Luka or Trae Young. One of them. Like you make some misses. There are some misses in this league, that just happens. How much people passed on Shea? How much people passed on Booker? If you do the redraft of Booker's draft, which I think is currently counts, is Booker not number one? Look at the Kyrie draft. Yeah, you have a bunch of players. Who's going one? The guy who went like 13th or 15th in Kawhi. Then Jimmy has to be a top 3. Then there's Clay. So the draft is just, you never know what's going to happen. I do think for this draft, what I find the craziest thing is that people aren't valuing draft picks anymore. They're just not. Or they're overvaluing them, or people don't really care so much. I think when you have a team like the Denver Nuggets, who, from their starting unit, Jokic is a 2nd-round pick. Jamal Murray is like end of lottery. Oh no, Jamal Murray's like 7th. Okay, so Jamal Murray's like the highest, 6th or 7th lottery. He did have Aaron Gordon, who was 4th, so I will give you that. KCP, not a high draft pick. Also, a bunch of these guys. Your best player was a 2nd round. Then you go to the second round as your best player, and the Miami Heat, their best player was the 30th overall pick. Bam was a late lottery pick. Tyler Hero was a late lottery pick. Kyle Lowry was a late draft pick. Gabe Vincent undrafted. Like you have these two teams who used the draft to get good players and just happened to, not really Miami just Butler was a trade, but what I'm saying overall is that these players weren't high draft picks. They weren't top five picks. None of these guys were top five picks, besides Aaron Gordon. And like, look, the best player was these guys. You know, at one point, Aaron Gordon was probably the fourth best player on the team because you probably would have put Michael Porter Jr. above him. So overall, the draft is you don't know what's gonna happen. You hope for all these picks, and that's why teams are trading left and right. I hear the Indiana Pacers want to trade the seventh pick for a wing. And it's funny because Portland wanted to trade the seventh pick last year, which is Shaedon Sharpe, for like OG and on the Raptors. And I really kind of want, now that I think about it, but it's because you see Shaedon Sharpe. If I knew Shaedon Sharpe was going to be this, I'm pretty sure Masai's like, yeah, let's trade OG. Because Shaedon Sharpe has like superstar potential. So you're thinking of doing it. Indiana's thinking of trading the seventh pick. Look at Portland. They have the third overall pick. They can get Scoot or Brandon Miller, two guys who are projected to be like all-stars, right? And that's what the top three, they think is the top three guys. Well, it's Victor, then the two guys, and then like everyone else. Right. So if you're thinking all that, you're willing to trade a potential all-star and a Scoot just to make Dame happy. Because you don't know if Scoot's gonna be a 7-time plus all-star, all-NBA, Olympian type. You have no idea. You just don't know. So you do what you know now. Dame is a great player. You add on to Dame. So what they're doing, willing to trade that third overall pick. Could that be stupid in 10 years? Yeah. I don't think they should do that. I think they should trade Dame. Keep the draft pick, go young with Shaedon Sharpe in this draft pick, and then you kind of go from there. That's what I would do, but that's not what they're doing. They don't really care about the draft pick. So people are just willingly just throw away draft picks, throw away futures. Look at Phoenix, throw away future because you're hoping at least you get one title with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. The draft has changed. People's thought process has changed of the draft. So I'm very curious to see what the future holds, as a whole for all this stuff. That's just my thought. But I'm gonna end it on that note. I hope you guys really enjoyed the draft. Hopefully next week I can do some. I'll get a guest. I probably will try to get a guest to talk about July 1st because July 1st is gonna be the craziest day to see how it all works. Fred VanVleet, James Harden, Kyrie, all those people are free agents, and we're gonna see what's gonna happen. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'm gonna talk to you guys again. Peace. Make sure you subscribe. You gotta subscribe. The whole point is subscribe. Peace.